And, and especially, I know one of my aunts called me. She was worried about AI because she heard that, it can make it sound like one of your kids. And, because they can clone the voice of things like Instagram.
Yeah. So when that happens, right? Because that's going to happen. They're going to get a call and it's going to sound like their kid is in jail. Hey, I'm being held hostage. Tell them to hang up the phone and tell them to call their child.
Yeah.
Uh, because the it's going to sound real. And
Very.
tell them to hang up and then just call the actual phone number of their kid and verify, hey, are you okay? I just got this call, and your kid will be like, no, I'm fine. So that's the thing to do. Don't stay on that phone call. You want to hang up and call them
Call
for
them back.
the number that that exists for them. That's very important to tell them that.
Right. And that'll be something that I'm definitely gonna suggest to them, because they're real worried about it. So they want me to sit down and speak to them about it, which I feel so blessed and so happy too, because like I told them, the people that's the most vulnerable are definitely older people, because they're usually first prey, because especially a lot of younger people think that they're the easiest prey, and the most gullible to falls for things or click on something or something like that. So I'm going to definitely tell them that the password book, I think that's one of the greatest ideals I've heard in a long time. That I always tell them, just simple things, always, like I told my mom, if I ever call asking you for money, just ask me, get off the phone, ask me some questions that only me and you know. That's one way to find out that it's not me, because I wouldn't know it,
Yeah.
or you would know. So yeah, that was great. That was great. Do you have uh, any in your professional wisdom? Do you have any other things that you may know that's out there that maybe someone can do
Yeah,
besides the password?
I think one thing is a lot of people are still buying like Norton antivirus. They're still buying McAfee antivirus. They don't need to buy those things anymore. Windows has a built-in antivirus that's better than McAfee and Norton and all those kind of. They don't need to be buying security products for their computer. They don't know
Yeah,
that, right? I'm sure they don't know that.
and those
So
sweepers on your phone and
don't
stuff
need to
like
buy any
that.
of that stuff. No. So with Windows, it already has Windows Defender built into it. That's better than McAfee and Norton and all those other things. So tell them they don't need to buy antivirus anymore. Windows actually has an extremely good one now. And no, look, that wasn't always the case, but it certainly is now. Defender's definitely better than the consumer antivirus products that they might be purchasing.
Right, yeah, like McPhee and all that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't even know they were still in business. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Now, one last thing. Okay, so let's say that a website gets compromised, right? What kind of information are they going to know? They're going to know your email address and they're going to know a password typically, right? And
Right,
that's why we mentioned about having a different password on every website. That's very important. But they might get your social security number. So the other thing I always tell everyone is go to the three different credit reporting agencies, right? And freeze your credit. Now, what does that mean, freeze your credit? It means that no one can go and open up a new credit card or open up a new account or go buy a car or go buy, something with your credit. So even though, they now have your social security number, they can't do much with it. So
right.
make sure you go in and freeze your credit at all three agencies. It's very
Yeah, I think
important.
my mom did that.
Yeah, because then you don't have to pay for LifeLock. A lot of people are paying like for LifeLock and those kind of credit monitoring things. You don't need to do that if your credit's frozen. If your
Exactly.
if your credit's frozen, no one can open up anything. So Why pay for monitoring if no one can open up, anything for you if you just freeze it? And it's free. There's no cost to freeze your credit. So save some
Yeah.
money. Don't be buying the LifeLock and those kind of things. Uh, you know,
Yeah,
don't be
all the
buying
newest
Norton
things
and
and stuff.
Symantec. I'm saving everybody money right now, right? Like, you don't need to do
Yeah,
those things.
yeah, McPhee and all that. Yeah, I did, Joe. To be honest, like I said earlier, I didn't even know like Norton was still around.
Yeah, yeah, people are still buying it, man. And
Really? Wow.
yeah, oh yeah, people are still buying it. And then one other thing, we talked about VPN and it's a hotly debated topic whether people should be using VPNs, right? The other scenario where a VPN might make sense is maybe on a public Wi-Fi. If
Yes.
you connect to a public Wi-Fi and there's no encryption, then your traffic can be seen by anyone on that, public Wi-Fi. And so that might be another reason to potentially use one. Now, it just kind of all depends because if you're using, if you're going to a website, let's say Google, right, or Gmail,
Yeah.
that forces SSL encryption. So even if you're on public Wi-Fi with no encryption, it's not like they can get your password. So it's there's so it's not a critical issue, but it is wise, I think, to add a layer there when you're on public Wi-Fi.
Okay. Yeah, because I always tell my wife, I always say, babe, don't just sign into these when we go out somewhere and we stay in a hotel or something, just don't sign into their Wi-Fi because we don't know who else is signed into their Wi-Fi.
And
And she
usually cell phone speeds are faster than the hotel Wi-Fi now anyway. It wasn't
Yeah,
always the case, but it typically is now.
yeah,
You know,
and that's what I told her. So just use our cell phone data for that because you just don't know. And all the people, I remember the days when people used to go down to Starbucks and have a cup of coffee and then sign into their Wi-Fi. I wonder how many people's personal information has been compromised by that.
yeah, so if you connect to a hotspot like that, you're probably okay. But what can happen is if there's a hacker in proximity, they can create a hotspot with the same name as Starbucks. And if your computer is closer to their machine than they are to the access point, then you're going to be
Right,
going through that hacker's laptop. So I think in general, when you're connecting to like a Starbucks or something like that, usually you're fine. It's just that if there happened to be a hacker in proximity that had set up something with the same exact SSID, then of course your traffic might go through them. And in that scenario, that's when a VPN is going to make a lot of sense when you're not quite sure what you're connecting to. Um, so when you connect and so for that reason, when you connect to hotspots in Windows, you shouldn't check the box that says always remember or always connect. Because what
okay.
that tells Windows is Windows is now always going to be looking for that access point and it's going to automatically try to connect to that name, right? So you don't
Oh,
want you don't want that necessarily. You want to be in more control on which Wi-Fi's you connect to.
I didn't think of that. Yeah, pretty smart. Pretty smart. So Joe, I think this was a really good informational show. I know some of our shows is probably more exciting than
Yeah,
than this one, but I just felt like personal information
yeah.
going into next year is going to be very, very important.
Well,
Um,
now everyone
it's-
wants to know how you've been doing, right? You've been on this path for a long time. So how are you? How's the job? Are you still liking it? Give everybody an update.
so right now, I love my job. I couldn't think of doing anything else. Um, I feel just like my supervisor Zach said, is I'm leaps and bounds performing better than I did in the beginning because I didn't understand anything. But I love my work for, and I've been blessed this week to mentor a few guys that's thinking about getting into the cybersecurity business. so which they're going to be shadowing me. So maybe that can be like our next show to see what they see. And
Yeah.
and I just I pray to the Lord that I can teach them,
Yeah.
or not teach them things to show them how the business is, because it's a lot different than what I've studied.
Mhm.
It's totally different, but
Yeah.
it's
So what?
fun.
Let's reverse roles a little bit. Let me ask you a couple questions, right? So for those that are studying right now, let's say they're studying for their Security Plus or they just got their Security Plus. How different is it being a SOC analyst versus what you were studying as you were preparing to get into cybersecurity? How
It's
different are
very
those two things?
it's very different. So the thing is, you understand the basics, like a shy one, a shy uh, 256, a MD5, because you learn all that. You have to know that when you're taking your cert to be for uh, Security Plus, or just regular for cybersecurity. But it's how you use that in the business. So I'm not telling anyone to don't do certificates, but it's different. And I think you really have to know the basics. You really have to understand networking. You really have to understand cybersecurity and networking is kind of linked together. So you got to understand networking. That's a huge part of it, because if you don't know how the network works, there's no way you're going to understand how they got in, and then the security part of it. So it is it's totally different, because it's for every incident. It's a different process how to investigate it. It's not the same process to every to every incident. It's
So
not.
for someone that does not have a technical background and they're kind of trying to study, would you recommend that they do the Network Plus before they do Security Plus so they have a background in networking before they start studying on the security side?
Yes, 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 because you have to understand the networking part of it. The networking part of it, I didn't know how big it was until now.
Mhm. Which certs do you think you would recommend to someone who's just starting out, and in what order would you study them?
Um, I'm gonna always say take your A plus. That's just the beginning one, just to kind of you get the feel of it. Take networking. I'm not saying you have to go to Network Plus, but at least take networking, and then maybe you can go to Security Plus. Uh, I think Linux will be okay, because now what Microsoft do, they integrate both Linux and Microsoft now with Sentinel and Azure. So I think that doing that, but networking, I think, is a big part of it. Um, and if you want to take Network Plus too, but definitely do something in networking,
Mhm,
because to me it's very vital. I didn't know how vital it was until now.
mhm, mhm. Really cool. Well, it's really sweet that you're now giving back and mentoring others, and that's I can't wait to talk to you more about that on the next episode. We'll have to touch base and see how that's going.
Yeah, we will. And Joe, you got to remember, we started this right before COVID, and you you pretty much scoped a guy that didn't know nothing. I mean, I was
Yeah,
I didn't know nothing about any of this, and then uh, I went through the pathway of going to school and stuff, and then started off working part time for Patriot, and
yeah.
what it was an eye opener, and now where I'm at, it's just such a blessing, and I still got so much work to do. So, oh gosh.
And you recently bought your first home.
Yeah, I recently purchased my first home. Me and my wife, we love it, and we got a new puppy right now. There, if you guys probably heard him in the background, he's wrestling with his brother. It's been going on, but yeah, this is I just
That's
feel
great.
very blessed to be able to
Yep.
mentor. That's very important,
That's
to
awesome.
give back.
That's really great. That's really great. Well, this is really fun connecting, and yeah, we should definitely do this more often when we have other topics and stuff to kind of get into. I think what would be really, really good is if we do more kind of stuff in Sentinel where we share a screen and kind of get into it and
Okay, awesome. Yeah,
walk through the different, wiki articles and what we're learning and just share that knowledge. I think that'd be really good, and I think that'd be a lot of fun. To get into that.
that'd be okay. Do you actually want to go through some incidents and stuff too?
I think we'll have to come up with like some mock incidents where we create a
Mock
lab
incidents.
and we simulate some activity because obviously we can't
Okay.
show
No.
real
Do
stuff.
you think
So,
we maybe can create some of that on an AI platform?
oh yeah,
Maybe like on Chicken
I
Yes.
think we totally should. Yeah.
That would be awesome. Yeah, because I think if we can actually show people um,
What it
kind of
is we do. Yeah.
what it is we do,
Yeah.
because my wife still don't understand. She'll be sitting there trying to talk to you and be like, "I'm in a hot incident right now. I
Yeah.
cannot talk. So I got to close the door because I got to focus in on what I'm doing." So, oh yeah, yeah, that'd be great. That'd be something fun to do.
You know what might be kind of interesting is we could walk through some of the roles in the SOC, and I'll share my screen, maybe walk through some of these. So this might be kind of an interesting thing for
Yeah.
people to understand roles in the SOC. So um, the uh, process involves tier one SOC analysts, tier two shift leaders, and then there's a tier three team, which consists of multiple different members of the team, like threat researchers, hunters, incident response, detection engineers, and even SOAR automation engineers. So the threat researcher is really going out there and reading all the articles, what's new, trying to identify things we should be looking for, and they create a report, and then they hand the report over to the threat hunter. The threat hunter is then searching for those, events, indicators of attack, indicators of compromise, and they're essentially then, determining if any of our, clients have been compromised. If there is evidence of compromise, then they hand it over to an incident responder. So the incident responder is, digging in and building a forensic storyline of exactly what took place. And then they then hand indicators of compromise back to the threat hunter, anything new that they discover, so that then that process repeats. The hunter then looks across all client environments to see has that same threat actor, targeted other customers. So they work really hand in hand. They can also receive requests from a tier two SOC shift lead where, let's say you identify something, you escalate it up to tier two. Tier two can then say, yeah, we've got a problem. Let's get the incident respond, activated to do a forensic kind of deep dive on what happened. Uh, then there's a detection engineer. So they're writing rules in Sentinel. We call them analytic rules that are then detecting that type of threat actor activity on a go forward basis. So imagine the threat hunter, they're kind of doing a one time look, looking for this event. Okay, they don't see it. Let's hand it over to the detection engineer. They're going to write an analytic rule so that if it happens again, boom, we get an alert. Now tier one gets the alert and then triage. So this is all
Yeah.
kind of the behind the scenes of a SOC on how all that happens. And then we have a SOAR engineer. They're building playbooks to automate and suppress, noise. They're also building automations to quickly isolate machines or reset user passwords. And so they're working also directly with customers to bring in their data and doing quite a bit of automation. The tier two shift leader, they're essentially handling escalations from tier one. They're trying to validate a true positive. They're also trying to prevent a false positive from escalating a client to a client. Because if a client gets overwhelmed by too many things, they'll just stop responding, right? It's almost like, okay, they get overwhelmed,
Right.
and so they're kind of the bridge between tier one and tier three. They're also working directly with the customer. And they're also, if somebody doesn't show up on shift one, they got to figure it out and pull someone else in, a floater to for coverage. And so they're, essentially kind of quarterbacking that entire shift. And then the tier one analysts. So these are the first line in defense. They're blocking and tackling, right? The O line and D line. They're in there, in the trenches, and the basics. So they're monitoring those alerts. They're communicating, with tier two. Hey, this is what I'm seeing. What do you think? They're getting that feedback. And so for us, our tier one is all over the world. We have folks in the U.S., Bangladesh, Ethiopia, Nigeria, Pakistan, Singapore, United Kingdom. We have folks all over the world working from home in our tier one. Um, and so this is kind of a flow, right? So you've got your, tier three threat researcher. They hand the report to the threat hunter. If they find what looks like a problem, they're going to hand it over to incident response. They're going to investigate it, send it back. They're then going to search all the customers for that. Once that's complete, analytic rules are built to detect that. That's what the tier one guys are going to get those alerts from those detection engineering analytic rules. If they find a problem, they escalate it to tier two. Tier two again repeats, and this whole kind of process is just a nonstop event. We're dealing anywhere from 10,000 incidents per week to sometimes 16,000 incidents per week. And so over a given year, that's 500,000 incidents that we're investigating, year over year. So that's, from your perspective,
Yeah.
what do you,
Hold on one
what do you
second.
think of?
Milo.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just my dog. I don't know what's going on. Sorry. Yeah. From my perspective, yeah, that's kind of the workflow. You know, before I know before we escalate any ticket, we try to do our due diligence to make sure that it is a true positive.
Yeah.
Because, like what Joe says, we get. I mean, me personally, I can get 85 tickets in between 85 to 120 tickets a day. If I escalated all those to a client, they will be overwhelmed. so,
Yeah.
so we really try to do our research before we even go up to a tier two and be like, hey, or to the client, hey, here you go right here. This is a true positive. Now, something kind of weird we really don't understand. We may escalate that up to a client. Like we have a few clients that maybe be doing pen testing or something like that, that we just want to get verification of. And usually they'll do that. And then it's like, okay,
Mhm.
but besides that, no, we really try to do it. We really, really, I know everyone on my team really try to do their due diligence. I know I
Yeah.
do before I escalate up anything.
Over the last 12 months, how many times have you detected Russian hackers in your clients?
Uh, think about a couple times. We got one that they were calling up people on Microsoft Teams. I think that was
Yeah.
the last one. Yeah. So yeah, they'll and kind of like with you talking with you. I was wondering how did they do that with Microsoft Teams? Yeah, they just look up the people and call
Yeah. Yeah. In Microsoft Teams, your identity is the same as your email address.
them. Yeah.
So they can just type in your email address in Microsoft Teams and try to chat with you or call you. And so they were pretending to be IT support. And then if the person, answered that call, they'd say, "Hey, we're here to talk to you about that large spike in email that you just got." And then the person's like, "Oh yeah, I've been getting a lot of spam lately." Okay, cool. We'll just download this tool, and then the hacker kind of cons them into downloading a tool, and then before you know it, now the attacker is spreading ransomware at that company. So a lot of lessons learned there. Don't give your users local admin rights. Don't allow them to install software on your machines, for sure. And also, it's a good idea to block Teams chat from the internet, to just only allow the specific organizations that you trust to chat. So you can configure Microsoft Teams to do that, to lock that down. By default, it's not locked down. So there's some lessons learned there. But yeah, that was a very interesting case, and you did a really good job. You've done a great job this year. You've detected some really top tier groups. Uh, you're
Phenomenal.
const you're constantly responding in less than 10 minutes, which is a great industry. You're above industry average on your speed. And I know your team loves you, and we're so blessed to have you, on the team. So, just keep up the great work.
So Joe, I got a question. Can I explain one incident that I had
Oh
yesterday?
yeah. Yeah, that'd be great.
So it was an anonymous single factor sign in. So those ones I look at specifically a lot.
Your audio cut
And
out. Could you say that one more time? That your last sentence dropped.
oh yes, a lot of people use VPNs.
Yep.
They go on vacation and they'll try to sign in and
Hmm.
stuff like that. So I know a few of our clients. So if you look, I know in my if you look in the Active Directory, you can see what the clients kind of got set up. So we have a few of our clients that have certain countries that's blocked, the block countries that they're not supposed to be using. So I won't say the users or anything like that, but I have one client that had an employee that was on vacation in the Virgin Islands that signed in. So I didn't see any device ID. The signing was correct. Everything was good, but I didn't see any device ID. I didn't see, and then I saw that it was from a blocked country. That the client said that this country was blocked. So I had to escalate that to verify that that was the user that was actually
Yeah.
in the Virgin Islands.
When
That
there's
was
no when there's no device ID, it looks very suspicious because it means it's not their corporate issued device, right? So that can sometimes happen if people are signing in from a personal cell phone, because that personal cell phone is not often going to be enrolled into Intune and MDM. So that's really the consequence for organizations that are allowing BYOD. Now you have situations where we may not know if that device is valid or not, and there's not much you can do other than to verify with the manager. Is this person in that country or not? There's very little else you can do there.
yeah, yeah, and then the country it was on there. The thing you see the country and it said that this country is blocked. So
Mhm.
when it says that too, that means that the company actually blocked users from logging in from that country. Probably they have people that's been going on vacation
Hey
and
man, if
stuff
you're on
like
vacation, stop working.
yeah. So I run into that a lot. Like people they're on vacation and they'll still try to
Yeah, just
log in and
no,
stuff like
just
that.
enjoy, dude. If you're in the Virgin Islands, you shouldn't be thinking about work.
No, you should be
Should be on that beach having that mai tai, just chilling. Just
chilling, taking it
put
easy.
that phone down. Don't be making more work for Larry. Don't be making Larry call your
Exactly.
manager. No, man, just enjoy that time.
Exactly. And those are things that we look for.
Right.
You know what I mean? We definitely check the IP address. We definitely check the ISP. We check the domain name. That's very important because I seen a few of the IP addresses was okay, but when I checked the domain name,
Yeah.
well, this is actually from Germany.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that happened a couple of times. So then I have to escalate it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so it's a lot of things that goes into what we do to try to
Yeah.
make sure that the companies
Yeah, and
that we're working.
every customer is going to have a different set of preferences, so we call that rules of engagement. Some clients will just say, you know what, go ahead and if you see that kind of thing, just go ahead and reset that password. Just immediately revoke those session tokens, reset the password, and we'll deal with it. Right? You're going to have some clients that want that more aggressive action from us, and then you have other clients that are like, no, if it's a VIP, don't bother them, contact me first, let me deal with, so every client's going to have a different preference. And it's important to just have those kind of open, conversations and communications with clients, understanding their expectations. Hey, what do you want me to do when it looks like a personal phone that just shows up in the Virgin Islands? Do you want me to go ahead and reset that, or do you want me to contact you? And, if you ask 5 clients, you might get 5 different answers, but, we just have to, but we document that from the client. We record, hey, what do you want to do in this situation if we see this again? And then we put that in our rules of engagement document, and
Right.
kind of go from there. So
I did have one where it was the president of the CEO, like the head guy, that actually got hacked. And before I made that move, I did contact the client before they got on it right away, and then they went through the procedures with him, and they changed this, they reset his password, and they revoked his sessions, and then they went in and they changed his MFA and all that. So it was like, oh,
yeah,
okay. But I was like, I wanted to, but it was like, wait a minute,
better check. Yeah, no, that's smart.
let's
That's
check
smart.
this.
Yeah, yeah, it's very smart because he or she could have been in the middle of a very important business deal or something disrupting the whole company. So, and that's why you need a human to look at that as opposed to AI, because a human is gonna be able to kind of have their instinct. And AI doesn't have that yet. So
No,
so they're not gonna replace us yet, Larry. AI is not
not
gonna
yet.
they're not gonna get us this year.
They're not gonna
Maybe
get
next
us yet.
maybe in 2027 or something like that, but not in 2025.
No, not no. Oof. No, but I know before we reset people's passwords and stuff like that, someone that might be on vacation, if I feel that they may be on vacation, because I do look at the sign-in history or something like that, and I'll ask before, if it's if everything's okay with the IP address and you know and all that. I usually ask before, because I know if you're on vacation and then all of a sudden you got to reset your password and you got to call all the way back to the company, because I know I ran into one this week that was it was in Colombia that they were logging into, but everything was kind of weird. It has a lot of failures and stuff like that, and they were
Mhm.
using their cell phone, so I had to reset the password. It looked like they were trying to log into Netflix and some other stuff. It looked kind of weird, so I had to reset the password and
Mhm.
escalate that up to the client. So
Yeah. Well, man, it was really good to catch up with you. I know we
you,
have a lot to
yeah,
talk about on the next podcast. We'll kind of maybe hopefully dig into it, maybe build a lab where we can actually really show people what you do on a day in, day out basis. I think that'd be pretty
now
worthwhile.
that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, want to do that?
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, Merry Christmas to you and
Merry Christmas
your
to you.
family.
Yeah.
And uh well, I'll be seeing you on Monday at work.
Yeah, I'll see you Monday. Okay.
See
Have a
you
nice
Monday.
weekend. All right, see
Have a
ya.
nice weekend.
See ya.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.